Fake police in tactical vests smashed through my front door, dragging my furniture onto the lawn while neighbors filmed. Regina Voss stood on my porch smiling, clipboard in hand, ordering strangers to destroy everything I owned over a mailbox violation. I'm Daniel Cole, single father, quiet homeowner on Magnolia Court, working long federal hours nobody in the neighborhood ever questioned. Regina ruled Magnolia Court like a queen, fining neighbors for wrong grass length, wrong flag size, wrong holiday lights. She'd formed her own HOA enforcement unit, men in black uniforms who looked suspiciously like real police officers. Residents whispered these men carried real badges, real guns, real authority nobody had actually verified or questioned. I stayed quiet, worked nights, kept my job private, hoping anonymity would keep Regina's obsessive attention away from my door. It started small. A citation taped to my door for unauthorized vehicle. My unmarked federal SUV parked overnight. I explained calmly it was work-related, showed nothing else, just asked her office to note the exception politely. Regina refused, insisting rules applied equally, snapping photos of my car like she'd caught a criminal red-handed. Days later, a second citation appeared, then a third. Each one pettier, angrier, more personal than the last. You think you're special, Mr. Cole? She sneered. Nobody's above Magnolia Court's rules. Nobody. I paid the fines quietly, hoping it would end there, but Regina's obsession only seemed to grow stronger. She started walking past my house daily, peering through windows, noting every detail for her growing complaint file. My neighbor Tasha warned me. She did this to the Hendersons. They moved out crying within 2 months. Regina accused me of suspicious behavior, telling residents a strange man kept odd hours doing something illegal. Rumors spread through the neighborhood group chat, painting me as a criminal, a threat, someone dangerous to children. I tried addressing it directly at a HOA meeting, but Regina cut my microphone off mid-sentence, laughing. We don't owe explanations to residents under investigation, she announced, and the room erupted into nervous murmurs. My daughter Mia came home crying. Kids at school heard her father was some kind of criminal. I filed a formal complaint against Regina, but the HOA board was entirely handpicked, loyal, and terrified of her. 2 nights later, someone slashed my tires, leaving a note, "Maybe now you'll follow the rules." I reported it to real police, but without cameras or witnesses, the case quietly went nowhere fast. Regina's private security began patrolling my street specifically, parking outside my house for hours at a time. I recognized their tactics: surveillance, intimidation, psychological pressure, exactly what I'd been trained to identify professionally. Still, I said nothing about my job, wanting to solve this quietly, without revealing federal credentials unnecessarily. My neighbor whispered Regina secretly profited from resident fines, funneling money into accounts nobody could ever trace. I started documenting everything: dates, times, photos, building a quiet file of my own evidence. Regina noticed my camera one afternoon and screamed I was harassing her, threatening legal action immediately. For 2 weeks, things went strangely quiet. No citations, no patrols, no confrontations at my mailbox. I almost believed Regina had finally backed off, focusing her fury elsewhere, leaving my family alone finally. Mia started smiling again, riding her bike freely without Regina's security trucks looming at the curb. I should have known better. Predators like Regina never truly stop. They only wait, watching, planning quietly. The calm shattered when Regina claimed I'd violated Code 14, an obscure bylaw nobody had heard mentioned before. She scheduled an emergency hearing without proper notice, fining me $5,000 for imaginary violations. I refused to pay, demanding evidence, demanding due process, demanding anything resembling actual fairness or transparency. Regina smiled coldly. Then we'll handle this our way, Mr. Cole. You'll regret challenging me. 3 days later, her HOA police blocked my driveway, badges gleaming, radios crackling like genuine law enforcement. They claimed authority to inspect my home for unpermitted renovations, waving a forged-looking warrant in my face. I demanded identification. They refused, pushing past me, boots stomping straight through my front door uninvited. They tore through closets, flipped furniture, smashed picture frames, searching for evidence that simply didn't exist. Regina supervised from my porch, filming everything, narrating triumphantly for her HOA social media followers. Consider this a warning to everyone, she announced. Nobody defies Magnolia Court's authority and wins. They destroyed Mia's bedroom, shattering her trophies, ripping photographs, calling it standard enforcement procedure. Neighbors watched silently, filming on phones, too afraid of Regina's retaliation to intervene or help. My service weapon safe was pried open, my federal credentials scattered carelessly across the wrecked living room floor. One officer froze, staring at my badge, whispering urgently to another before backing slowly toward the door. Regina, oblivious, kept filming, gloating loudly, completely unaware her entire operation had just collapsed instantly. "What's wrong with you two?" she snapped. Unaware her fake police force suddenly looked terrified, pale, frozen. I calmly picked up my credentials, held them toward her camera, and said quietly, "Keep filming." "Regina." "I'm Deputy U.S. Marshal Daniel Cole," I said. "Everyone here just committed multiple federal offenses on camera." Regina's smile vanished instantly, her phone trembling, color draining completely from her confident, arrogant face. Her fake officers bolted immediately, sprinting toward their vehicles, abandoning Regina alone on my wrecked porch. "This is a mistake," she stammered. "I didn't know. Nobody told me you were." I cut her off. "You didn't ask," I said. "You just assumed authority you never legally possessed, over people you controlled." I called my actual colleagues, requesting immediate backup, citing impersonation of law enforcement and property destruction. Regina tried deleting her live stream, but neighbors had already screen-recorded everything, sharing it across every platform. Real patrol cars arrived within minutes, lights flashing, drawing every curious neighbor out onto their front lawns. Regina's forged warrant, her fake badges, her illegal HOA police unit, all documented, all confiscated, all evidence. Detectives discovered Regina's private security firm wasn't licensed, wasn't certified, wasn't legally authorized to operate anywhere. Financial records revealed years of embezzled HOA fines, funneled quietly into Regina's personal offshore vacation fund. The Hendersons, the family who'd fled crying months earlier, came forward as witnesses against Regina's pattern of abuse. Dozens of residents came forward suddenly, sharing stories of intimidation, forged citations, and threatening midnight visits. Regina's own board members, terrified of prosecution, turned against her, testifying about her illegal enforcement schemes. Federal charges piled up: impersonating law enforcement, embezzlement, harassment, unlawful entry, conspiracy against residents' civil rights. Reporters swarmed Magnolia Court, cameras capturing Regina being escorted away in handcuffs from her own driveway. "You have the right to remain silent," the arresting officer said, echoing words she'd denied residents for years. Neighbors who once feared speaking cheered openly, filming her arrest, finally free from years of manufactured terror. Regina screamed about unfair treatment, ironic words from a woman who destroyed families over holiday lights. Her husband, complicit in the embezzlement scheme, was arrested separately, their assets frozen pending federal investigation. The HOA board dissolved entirely, replaced by an elected committee residents actually trusted and had chosen themselves. Mia watched from our porch, finally smiling without fear, as Regina's reign of terror ended permanently. Contractors arrived within days, repairing our home, funded partly by settlement money from Regina's seized assets. Magnolia Court held its first peaceful, unafraid community gathering in over 3 long, exhausting years. Regina now faces decades in federal prison, stripped of every title, every uniform, every illusion of power. Neighbors thank me daily, though I remind them, courage, not badges, ultimately brought her reign down for good.